Arne Slot's Liverpool have turned into that girl. You know that girl you take out on a date. You treat her well, bring her to a big slap up meal and battered sausage and chips and stuff, and you're expecting something at the end of the night. You're expecting her to put out, and you buy a few drinks and so forth. Everything is going well. The body language is good. The eye contact is good. It's looking good for you at the end of the night. But when you get to the end of the night, all you get is a peck on the cheek, and off she goes, and you're left standing there with your sausage, and it ain't getting battered. Well, that's what Arne Slot's Liverpool team have become. Bit of a tease, really. Yeah, a bit of a tease. Arne Slot's Liverpool took on Bournemouth at the Vitality Stadium on Saturday night, and it was a shocking performance. Liverpool lose 3-2, give away a goal in the last minute, 95th minute was it, against a long throw. Alisson at fault scooped the ball back into play, and they took it into the net, and they go away with a 3-2 win. When you think about it, how badly it was, really, I don't think Bournemouth has won a game in a good while. Liverpool unbeaten in 13. Good game, good victory against Marseille in the Champions League, but yet they couldn't put away a Bournemouth team. So we'll just give you a brief overview on how the game went and my thoughts on that, and then we'll go into our player review, and then we'll also touch on the manager's review as well of the game. So yeah, in the game it looked like everything was going all well for the first 15 minutes, and then the first attack of the game that Bournemouth have, what did they do? Our captain Virgil van Dijk, don't know what he was doing, looked like he was ice skating or something, but miskicks the ball, ends up in the back of the net, starts pointing fingers at somebody. Absolutely shocking attempt from our captain to clear the ball. He's at fault for the first goal without a shadow of a doubt. Gomez goes down injured. No fault of his own. He gets injured with a clash with Alisson, trying to save Van Dijk's mistake, basically, and he has to go off. But while he's off, Liverpool continue to play the game. Arne Slot seems to be gesturing at the sideline for Liverpool to kick the ball out. He said on Sky Sports it took, 7 minutes before they got the substitute back on the pitch, and in those 7 minutes, Bournemouth had gone 2 up. To me, that's shocking game management from the Liverpool backroom team, from the manager. For goodness sake, this is amateur stuff. The substitute should have been ready to come on as soon as Joe Gomez went down, and Joe Gomez gets injured. The manager should have had that sub out on the pitch, getting stripped and ready to come on straight away. But no. Let's wait for 7 minutes. Let's give Bournemouth a 2-0 goal lead, and then we can try to get back into the game. Shocking management from Arne Slot. Van Dijk was at fault for the second goal as well, as he played on the player on Kerkez's side. He's the one. He's our captain. He's the one that's supposed to marshal the defence. He can't even marshal himself. Van Dijk, his performances are really poor, and I think he lacks basic leadership qualities. I think it's time that we can't drop him because we've nobody else, but I think it's time that Van Dijk was stripped of the captaincy. Szoboszlai, there's the captain. There's the man for Liverpool. So the game goes on. Van Dijk sort of redeems himself a little bit. He doesn't get a header. Comes off his shoulder and loops into the goal. Liverpool 1, Bournemouth 2. Or 2. So 2-1 at half time. Kerkez gets ripped off at half time. Arne Slot doesn't make substitutions at half time, so Kerkez's performances was very, very poor. Not the return to Bournemouth that he would have liked. Brings on Andy Robertson. Andy Robertson, the man who Arne Slot obviously doesn't want, because there's talk of Andy Robertson going to Spurs for 3 million. So what would you get for 3 million in today's football? Absolutely nobody. But Liverpool have so many players they're willing to let a legend like Andy Robertson go to Spurs, I believe, for 3 million quid. Shocking stuff. So the second half drifts on. Not much action happens. Liverpool are very poor. It's not till the 80th minute. I think it's I could be wrong. The 80th minute they had a shot on target. Szoboszlai does his best yet again to drag Liverpool into a game. Scores a great goal from a free kick. Liverpool used to be mental giants, as Klopp used to call them. What have they become? They're just mental midgets at the moment. They just can't control the game. We can get away. We can settle for 2-2. We should have got a win, but surely we can settle for 2-2 after being 2-0 down. Let's just see out the last few minutes. Then what happens? A long throw into the box in the 95th minute. Liverpool can't defend it. The ball is bouncing around. They lose the first contact. They lose the second contact. There's a shot. Alisson scoops it back into play, and Bournemouth stick it in the back of the net. 3-2 Bournemouth. Two players Particularly Van Dijk, who was at fault, who's claiming that he was fouled for the goal. Are you looking for a free kick? It was never a free kick. You fell over Jones's foot, who incidentally didn't jump for the ball. You fell over Jones's foot. You went down like a wet bag in a storm. It was shocking. You're 6'4". You should be stronger than that, bigger than that. You're the one that should be pushing players around, not falling over somebody's ankle. So there we go. Yeah, in a game that Liverpool had no right to lose and Bournemouth had no right to win on results, Bournemouth win 3-2. Another shocking performance from Liverpool. Another shocking performance from the manager. Make matters worse, we're now 8th. 8th in the Premiership. Man United beat Arsenal 3-2 yesterday, which puts us down to 8th. So what now for Liverpool? Well, I can tell you, Liverpool are in a dogfight even to qualify for the Champions League next year. Arne Slot is in a dogfight for his job. And you wouldn't think that he knew that when you consider the team that he started. His most dynamic, explosive centre forward he leaves on the bench. That's managerial suicide, to be quite honest. We'll face another Champions League game on Wednesday. They'll probably win it. I don't think it'll save Arne Slot, to be quite honest. Liverpool won't let him go, not before the end of the season, but I cannot see him being there after the season ends. Arne Slot is, I think he's well out of his depth. Tactically, I think he's inept. Unfortunately, and I say unfortunately because I don't want to see this, because if he does get the sack, it means Liverpool are performing badly, and nobody wants to do that. But Liverpool are performing badly, and I think Arne Slot is destined for the sack. So we'll move on to our player ratings for the game against Bournemouth, and we'll also do a manager rating at the end of that. Leave your comments in the section whether you agree or disagree. Let me know what you think. So now on to our player ratings. Right, so let's get on with our player ratings video. We'll start off with Alisson. For me, Alisson didn't have his best game yesterday. Still the best goalkeeper in the world. But I thought he was poor on Bournemouth's third goal. So for me, for Alisson, it's a 4.5. Seems off form. Let's just say that. So 4.5 for Alisson. So next up, we have Virgil van Dijk. Virgil van Dijk, another very poor game from Virgil van Dijk. At fault for 2 goals in my book. You can't drop him because we have nobody else to put in instead of him, to be quite honest. The only way we could, I don't know if Arne Slot would do it, but the only way we could punish Virgil van Dijk's poor performance, and in my opinion, he should be stripped off the captaincy. I don't think he shows great leadership skills, always looking to blame somebody else. So for me, obviously again, another 4.5 for Virgil van Dijk. So next up, Joe Gomez. I think Joe Gomez would be one of Liverpool's starting centre halves if he could only keep himself fit. Played well against Marseille, had a good game up until the time he went off with another injury. Don't know how bad that injury is going to be. We'll have to wait and see. Joe just can't keep himself fit at all. But unfortunately, at this time, it's through a knock. So 5 for Joe. Okay, so moving on, Endo came on. Look, Endo's obviously well off the pace of the game because he doesn't get played by the manager. That's bad management, in my opinion. Endo will probably move on at some time in the summer. I thought he did okay when he came on, considering that he doesn't get much time. So I'm going to give Endo a 5. No fault of his that he looked a bit off the pace. Kerkez didn't have the return to Bournemouth that he probably would have wished for. He has been better in recent weeks, but I thought today he reverted to what he was at the start of the season. So the manager obviously thought the same because he took him off at half time. So a 4.5 for me for Kerkez. Frimpong, another good game from Frimpong. I would prefer to have seen him start or stay on for the whole game. I thought he's really good. He's one of the only Liverpool players that seem to have that initial burst of pace out on the wing. He's a handful for any fullback. So for me, 6.5 from Frimpong. Another good game. As I said, would have preferred if he stayed on for the entire game. I don't know why Arne Slot is trying to save the minutes at this stage of the season. Andy Robertson came on, did well. Lots of talk about him wanting to move on from Liverpool. I think again that's down to bad man management from the manager. Should obviously be getting more time, but when he comes on, you know what you're going to get with Andy Robertson. It's going to be a good, solid performance, full of enthusiasm. For me, it's a 5 for Andy Robertson. Hope he stays at Liverpool. McAllister yesterday, and as in previous games, he's a bit off form as well. Not the player he was last season. Did well, but there's just something missing with McAllister this season, and I just can't put my finger on it. I'm sure he can't put his finger on it. So I've just gone for a solid 5 for McAllister. Szoboszlai by Liverpool. Liverpool's by far best player of the season. He will be player of the season at the end of the year. I think he should be Liverpool's captain. I think he should be taken from Van Dijk. Another solid performance from Szoboszlai and another goal. So 7.5 for me because he's just Mr. Consistent as far as I'm concerned. Wirtz, not a great performance from Wirtz. He seems to be. I thought he was starting to find a little bit of form, but consistency is going to be his problem. So for yesterday's performance, a solid 5. He's not setting the world alight, but a solid 5 for Wirtz. Gravenberch, another player that seems to have fallen off. This seems to be a trend of Liverpool players this season. Not the player he was last season. I don't know if that's because of positional sense that he's playing a little bit higher, maybe, but certainly not the player that he was. You can't fault his enthusiasm and his desire to do well, but it's just not happening for him right now. So another solid 5 for me. Lots of 5s this game for Liverpool. I think that's probably shows the level of how they performed as a team. Gakpo, being a defender of Gakpo, he's not getting any better. He looked poor yesterday. Funny enough, Kerkez was poor, and Kerkez is poor when Gakpo plays. So I don't know if that's something the manager needs to look at. Should have been taken off sooner. 4.5 from me for Cody Gakpo. Right, next up, Mo Salah. Mo Salah, Liverpool legend. Great servant for Liverpool, great goal scorer. His form is obviously after falling off a cliff right now, to be quite honest with you. I think there may be something going on in the background. He doesn't look to have the same enthusiasm that he once did. So I've gone, guess it, another 5 from Mo Salah. Hopefully he'll get his form back at some stage. But a 5 on yesterday's performance. Ekateke probably should have started the game. Would have liked to have seen him start the game. I don't see why the manager didn't start the game. Another player who's trying to save minutes on the legs. I don't think Arne Slot realises he's in a battle right now. He's in a battle for his job, and he really should be putting his best team out. Should have started. For the time he was on the pitch, you could see the change. He's an exciting player. He'll attack defenders. He'll get in the mix. There's a good chance of getting a penalty with him. How he moves the ball so quickly. Yeah, I would have preferred to see him start. But for the time that he was on the pitch, I'm just going to give him a 6.5. Curtis Jones, good utility player. He's never going to be a starter for Liverpool, in my opinion. Talk of him moving on as well. On yesterday's performance, what he contributed to the game, I'm just going to give Curtis Jones a 5. Manager Arne Slot. I don't think he performed too well yesterday. I think he made a couple of fundamental errors. One of them was in the starting lineup. I think I should have been in from the start. I thought they were Liverpool, let's say the Liverpool bench were very slow in getting the substitute on. That's poor management, poor game management. A bit of naivety maybe. Ended up Liverpool going 2-0 down. I think the players that he did bring on, Endo, I don't think he should have brought Endo on in that game. He probably could have moved Gravenberch back and brought on Curtis Jones in midfield, because Endo, nothing to do with Endo, Brando just hasn't seen too much match time. I think overall, I think he's tactically inept. I don't think he's up to the level that he needs to be to win the Premiership. And I know what you're going to say. Sure, he won it last year. Yeah, but he won it with Klopp's team. He's fiddled around with it now. He's brought in some new players. And I really don't think he knows how to get the best out of them. So for a manager of Liverpool, I think it was a very poor performance. I don't have a 3.5 up on my studio here, but if I did, that's what it'd be. But the lowest I've gone is 4.5 because I don't really think that Liverpool players should sink below 4.5. But on this occasion, I would be willing to make an exception. I would have given them a 3.5, but 4.5 for Arne Slot. I think Arne Slot is in a lot of problems. I think he has problems. I don't know whether he understands the gravity of his situation. Maybe he's getting mixed messages from the board above him that they're happy with the performance. Maybe they've just written off the season. If that's the case, that's a shame. But for me, I don't think he understands the gravity of the situation that he's in. Maybe he is, and he just doesn't think too much about it. I don't know. But to not start Ekiteke in a game that he really needed to win on the back of a good win against Marseille is criminal, really. So for me, it'd be a 3.5, but I'll put up a 4.5 for him anyway. I think his days are numbered at Liverpool. I think if not before, he'll certainly be gone in the summer. So that's it. That's our player ratings. Let me know if you agree or disagree in the comments below. Overall, it wasn't a great performance from Liverpool, but that's what I've gone with. And let me know if you agree. Simple as that.